and decide how much money is in circulation. Whereas it used to be decided on how much gold we held in Fort Knox. When you had those silver certificates and gold certificates that said you could go to the bank and redeem them for $1 worth of silver or $5 worth of gold or $10 worth of gold or silver or 20, your money was backed up by something. Your money was backed up by a solid metal, precious metal that was highly desirable. All that backs our money now is the fact that some big bank called the Federal Reserve Bank says this dollar's worth $1. But it's not worth $1 because every dollar that's printed and loaned to our government and then given to the American people or put into circulation by our Treasury Department is loaned, printed and loaned with interest due. So that means $1, let's say with, let's just say 5%. Interest due means you got to give them $1 and a nickel back. Actually makes that dollar worth 95 cents or maybe even 90 cents depending on how you do your math. Because you got to pay the nickel back. You got to get that nickel from somewhere. If all you got's $1 and it's only worth 90 cents or 95 cents, how are you going to pay that dollar back plus another nickel? You have to get another dollar. There's no way we will ever pay back all the money to the Federal Reserve that our federal government has borrowed from the Federal Reserve. I'm getting way off track now. We were talking about change. There will be change in this country, I guarantee it, under Barack Obama. Whether it's good or whether it's bad will determine whether Barack Obama gets the credit or the blame. So what we have to figure out is, okay, what's the change going to be? Well, here's what's happened so far. This administration has borrowed from the Federal Reserve an enormous amount of money that we already owed them plenty, but they borrowed an enormous amount of money to finance a war that we don't need to be in. They've borrowed an enormous amount of money to bail out AIG and a few other companies. They borrowed an enormous amount of money to bail out Wall Street, and they're getting ready to borrow another enormous amount of money to bail out the auto industry, which, in my opinion, is a bad thing. All these frickin' bailouts are bad. You know, Circuit City can't make it. Is the government coming in and bailing them out? Value City can't make it. Kmart can't make it. Do you see the government coming in and bailing them out? Hell no. The reason they can't make it is because the cost of living is so high. The cost of making a product and selling it is so high that the American people can't afford to buy it. They're losing their jobs left and right. We know this for a fact because the unemployment rate soars through the roof every day. Every week it's higher. And just because the number of people it shows of new claims may go down, it doesn't mean that the number of people on unemployment has gone down. No, there's a lot of people still unemployed and going to be unemployed. All right, we need to save all these jobs from the auto industry. Well, at what cost? Nobody can afford to go out and buy a new car. You know what a good idea is? You know what makes money? Good ideas. Good ideas, new ideas, innovative ideas. Not the same old car that burns $5 a gallon gas, even though right now gas is about $1.60 a gallon. You need something new. You need a car that runs off solar power, or you need a car that runs off an abundant source like water, wind, or something like that. You need something different than what we have. Now, I'm not knocking you folks at Ford and GM and Chrysler who make $40 and $50 an hour to stand in an assembly line and bolt on a bumper or glue on a mirror, you know. But can't compete with the Japanese automakers who are making some fantastic cars by paying our people that kind of money. And then you got people who are going out of business. The parts people who supply the parts to build these cars, they're going out of business too. We have got to, something's going to change. Something will happen. I do know that for a fact. I know what will happen is more businesses are going to close. More people are going to be out in the breadline. And it's going to make the 1929 Depression, look like a picnic. And as you know, or most people do, and for those who don't, I'm going to burst your bubble. The people who caused the crash of 1929 was the Federal Reserve Bank. They let all this money be out loaned, and all of a sudden people were rich. People were making money left and right with the margin loans. And all of a sudden they said, okay, now it's time. They called in their loans. The bankers had to pay off those loans, and they couldn't. That's what caused the crash. But when they print more money than what is available, that causes your buying power, causes your dollar to go down. It's called the inflation tax. It's a hidden tax. Nobody talks about it except Ron Paul. They're working towards this North American Union, which will eliminate the borders between Mexico and America and Canada and America, and will basically make Mexico, America, and Canada one country, sort of like the European Union. They're already working on a new currency called the embargo. Look it up. Google it, Wikipedia it, whatever you want to do. The embargo. It's being printed right now. And from what I understand, it's going to cause your dollar, which is not really worth $1 anymore, based on, let's say, $1950. $1 in 1950 bought a whole lot more than $1 in 2008 buys. But the embargo is going to cause that dollar to even be worth less, about 50% less. So let's say I've got $100,000 in the bank. That sounds like a lot of money, but it's not much in this economy. But all of a sudden now, that is only worth $50,000. My hope is the cost of things will go down, but more than likely they'll go up. Instead of coming down to equal, in other words, $1 loaf of bread will now be worth 50 cents, so you can still use an embargo to go out and buy a loaf of bread. I don't think that'll happen. It's probably going to jump up to 2 embargos, which would be $2, basis $1, based on your price of bread wherever you are, or gas or whatever. They're setting up troops in this country ready to combat civil unrest or civil disobedience, because they know when all this is revealed to us by our government, that there's going to be some people that are going to be mighty, mighty pissed off. There are going to be people who are going to get their guns out and they're going to go shoot some people, and it's going to be ugly. So they got these camps set up for it. But okay, let's say you're one of the ones who says, well, what can I do? And you sit back and you go with the flow. When things calm down, which will probably be, I'm saying maybe 20 years, you'll still work, you'll still earn a wage, but it's the lower class, and I'm not talking about stupid, I'm just talking about us folks in the middle class, in the bottom rungs of the ladder, who do 95% of the manual labor and physical labor jobs in this country,